Uh, in last lecture, we have seen, or we can say, we have started the preemptive algorithms. Under that, we have seen two algorithms. So today, I'll just discuss the remaining two algorithms. So in preemptive, we have seen this the shortest remaining time first, or we can say SJF with the preemption. So because that name, they might ask like SJF or shortest remaining first time first something, but you just the concentrate on whether that is the preemptive or non-preemptive. So if it is preemptive, so this method you can use. If it is non-preemptive, so whatever we have discussed in last lecture, that you can use. Only the difference you just know, in preemptive, the processor cannot execute the complete process, but in non-preemptive, that processor execute the complete process and then it take the next process, right? So in shortest remaining time first, so we have seen this. I'll just go with this because already we have solved these examples. So this was the statement, and in this burst time we have considered, and that mode is preemptive, and that this was the Gantt chart. So already we have seen. And see, I have just uploaded the PPTs on the website. I'll just tell you that address also. So from there, you can download the PPTs as well as whatever the whiteboard I have used for these problems, that also I have uploaded there. So that you can, because with these PPT, you cannot understand much because only final solution is here in these PPTs. But how it has been solved, so something that is written on the whiteboard, whatever I am using that board. So that same the file also I have uploaded there, so you can refer that also. And this was the solution. And already I just told you, for the every problem you can find out the average turnaround time, average waiting time, and average response time, right? So these things you just don't forget, right? Because they ask, find out the average turnaround, average waiting, and average response time, right? This was we have seen. Then next was the longest remaining time first. This also we have seen. So this was the Gantt chart for this, and I have not calculated here. You can calculate the average turnaround, waiting, and response time from these values, right? So you can make the addition of all these values divided by the number of processes. So the number of processes are 4. So whatever is the answer, that would be the average, right? So now next one, that is most important, that is round robin. You can see this one. Now here the along with this problem, again one thing is provided, that is time quantum. Because in last two problem we have seen, uh, every for every unit of time that processor was checking, is there any process arrived in ready queue or not, right? So at every the unit of time. But now here, in round robin, the time quantum is given, so that processor execute for this unit of time. Whatever is the time quantum, so that number of time that processor gets execute that any process, and after execution of this one, it checks again that the ready queue, and if that any process, then again it take that process and it execute that new process again with this time quantum. If suppose here in this problem, we have considered that time quantum is 2, it means that processor will execute every process for 2 unit of times instead of single unit of time, right? So here suppose the 4 processes are there, and that arrival time is this 0, 1, 2, 4. So every process, like suppose P1, if suppose that processor takes, so that will execute for 2 unit of time. Same thing for the P2 and for the rest also. If you consider that P4, so that burst time is 1 unit of time. So this will execute completely 1 unit of time instead of this 2 unit of time, right? So I'll just solve this example so that you will understand better. Mm. See, this one, whatever is this, I have also uploaded on that website, so that you will understand. This file also I have uploaded. Just a minute. So that problem I just take. It's round robin. You can say this is R also. And see, in previous two algorithms like shortest uh, job first and longest job first. So there were the choice whether you can solve that using preemptive or non-preemptive. But if you consider this round robin, so there is no other alternative because only using preemption we can solve this. So this is the mandatory thing in this. So we can say that mandatory thing is preemption, right? This one. So the problem is like process numbers, arrival time, and burst time. So process is P1, P2, P3, and P4. 0, 1, 2, and 4. And burst time is 5, 4, 2, and 1. So that same problem I have just shown on the PPT. So okay. Right. So just give some more space here so that you can solve it in better way. Right. And one more thing here that given, that is time quantum. And that is given 2 units. We can write that unit also, or not necessary, right? So this is the problem, and the time quantum given is 2. It means that processor will execute every process for 2 unit of time. Okay, so we'll draw the Gantt chart. And initially that is 0. Now same thing, at 0 unit of time, that processor will check is there any process arrived into the queue, ready queue. So if you see here, that P1 process arrived at 0 unit of time. So this will take that process P1 for execution, and how much time it will take for the execution. So that will take 2, because that this is the 2 unit. Time quantum is 2 unit. So that's why the processor will execute that process P1 for 2 unit of time. Right? Now this we can see here, remaining time is 3. Right? So again, the processor will check is there any process that arrived at 2 unit of time or the less than 2 unit, means 0 and 2. In between this, is there any process? I'll just write here. So P2 is the process that arrived into the ready queue at, you can see here, 1 unit of time. So what that processor will do, this P1 will send back to the ready queue. So we'll see here, sorry, P1 will send back to the queue, ready queue, and it will again check, sorry, so it take that P2 for the execution. So it will take P2 for the execution. And how much time it will take for the execution? That is again 2. So this would be 4. And this remaining time is 2. Right? Now again that processor will check, is there any process arrived at 2 unit of time or in between this 2 and 4. So if you see, so that P3 arrives at, sorry, or previously that P2 again it was, right? 1 minute, huh? It was the mistake. I'll write here 4. And this one again. Okay. So as this was the 2 unit of time. So here at 2 and before this 2, the 2 processes have been arrived. You can see this is at 1 and this is at 2 unit of time. Right? So in ready queue, that this P2, then P3. So this P1 will send back to the ready queue again. So this is P2, right? So how many processes are there into this the queue now? So P2, P3, and P1, right? And here I have not written that. That criteria is the time quantum. Huh? I'll write over here. For every problem, normally I write, but for this, for previous one, that criteria was the burst time, but here that criteria is time quantum, and that mode is preemptive. This one, right? So now we have 3 processes into the uh, ready queue, but now see here, instead of just maintaining this queue, I'll just take one more queue, that is ready queue. This is the time, sorry, Gantt chart, and next one I'll just maintain over here, this one, so that you will understand in better way. This is ready queue, because here it is important to maintain that ready queue sequence also. If you miss that sequence, then that problem might be wrong. Okay? So initially this time is 0, that P1 it was there, and from this at 0 unit of time, this was taken here. You can see. Sorry, right? So now while executing this P1, so the next processes arrived into ready queue are P2 and P3, right? P2 and P3. So here the sequence is important. Now, if suppose that process P1 executed for 2 unit of time, then after this it will check this ready queue, this one, this checks ready queue. After 2 unit of time, right? So in queue, that P2 and P3 processes are there. So what that processor will do now, this will take that P2 here and send this the P1 back to ready queue, right? Because now this is we have completed. Now this one again, suppose that processor have taken P1, P2. This P2 again will run for the 2 minutes. So this becomes 4, right? Again at 4, that processor will check this ready queue, but at 4, if you see here, this P4 arrived into this, right? P4. Now that processor will take this P3 for the execution here. So P3 it will take for the execution and send this P2 back to ready queue, right? Now again this P3 will execute for 2 unit of time. So this is 6. And at 6 again it will check that ready queue. Already all processors have been arrived into this. So now the processor will take that P1 for the execution because this has been completed, right? I'll just use this pen. This and this will these three processes have been completed. Now this takes P1, right? Now take P1 for execution and this would be 8. And after just execution of this, I have not maintained this. This becomes 1. Or P2, this becomes 2. P3, oh, P3 becomes 0 here. Sorry, okay, right? Now, next is P1, it is taken, so it becomes 1. So this is completed. Now it takes P4, right? So when this take P4, so what is the burst time for P4? So this is 1 unit of time. So it take this P4 and that burst time, actually time quantum is 2 unit of time, but the burst time for P4 is 1. So this is 9, right? And sorry, after this, this P2 have not, sorry, this P1. Getting this? Now, next is what? It will take that P2, this one, because P2 burst time remaining is 2. So this take P2 for the execution and the time is 11. So whatever is that P2, if you see here, burst time becomes 0, right? So P2 is completed, that P3 is completed, P4 is completed, only P1 is remaining. So whatever is the P1, the process, it will take that P1 and the burst time remaining for the P1, as you can see here, 1. This 1. So this becomes 0. And this is 12. Right? So I think you might understood here. Don't be confused here because you need to maintain this, the ready queue. So without this ready queue, it becomes very tough because that sequence is most important here. Because we are just sending that the running process back to the ready queue and we are taking next one again, that next again sending back to the ready queue again, next we are taking something. So that's why this ready queue, this one is most important. Now here we'll just see the completion time, burst time and all.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, before P4, there should be P2 now in ready
Before
queue.
in ready queue, before P4, see, actually what happens before coming back that P1. So first we need to send that P1 for the ready queue. 1 minute. This one you are saying, na? Wait a minute. Here, na?
Yes, sir.
So now what happened, you see, we executed this P1, right, for 2 unit of time. And at 2, that P3, P2 and P2, sorry, P1, sorry, P2 and P3 enters into the ready queue, right? Because the
Yes, sir.
P2 arrival time is 1 and P3 arrival time is 2. But see, whatever is this P4, that P4 when it is coming into the ready queue at 4. Now we are at 2. Getting my point? But after this, whatever is this P1 we are executing, suppose in the running state. So what we can do with this? We can send this P1 back to the ready queue. So whatever is this, we send back to the ready queue. Getting my point?
Yes, sir.
And after just taking this P2 for the execution, you can see here, when we take P2 for the execution, that P2 completes at 4, and at 4 that P4 is coming into the ready queue. See here, that arrival time is 4 for the P4. So that's why we have taken here after P1. Getting this point?
Yes, sir.
Because you see, after P4 also, when we complete this P2 for the 2 unit of time, we are sending back this P2 also here for the ready queue. So that's why I said don't be confused. If you maintain this ready queue properly, so the problem will be correct. Right?
Sir, in ready queue, the distance is 1 unit of time. Na?
No. See, why we are maintaining this ready queue? Here, don't think about the arrival time and something. This we are maintaining for the sequence only. Sequence. Not we are not taking any time here, right? This is only for maintaining the sequence. This is first come first serve kind of thing.
Okay, sir.
Only that the time is here in the Gantt chart. There you consider that burst time also, but not in ready queue. In ready queue, that ready queue is only for the maintaining the sequence. Okay?
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So we'll just calculate that completion time, turnaround time, waiting time, and response time. So you just see for the P1, that completion time, when that P1 completed, here you can see P1 is completed. I'll just take this pen. P1 is completed at this point. It means this is 12. Now when that P2 gets completed, P2 completed here, we can see here. So this is 11. P3 when it is completed, so P3 is completed here. So P3, so that time is 6. And when P4 gets completed, so P4 completed here, so that time is 9. Right? So I have already told you the formulas. I will not write again these formulas. So how to calculate the turnaround time? So completion time minus arrival time. So completion time is this and arrival time is this. So 12 minus 0 is 12. 11 minus 1, that is 10. 6 minus 2, that is 4. And 9 minus 4, that is 5. Right? Now waiting time formula is what? That is turnaround time minus burst time. This and that. So 12 minus 5. So how much it is? 7. Now this is 10 minus 4. This is 6. Now 4 minus 2, that is 2. 5 minus 1, this is 4. Now the response time, that response time is what? When that CPU gets, that process gets CPU first time minus arrival time. So when we see process P1, so process P1 got the CPU at 0 time, arrival time is 0. So we can say this is 0. Now next is P2. When that P2 got the CPU first time here, you can see here. Here P2 got the first time that CPU at 2. So 2 minus arrival time is 1. So that is 1. Right? Now P3, when it got first time, so here P3 got at 4. So 4 minus this 2, that is 2. and P4 got CPU first time at this point. So 8 minus 4, that is 4. This one. And from here you can calculate average turnaround time, average waiting time, and average response time. So make the addition of these values divided by 4. So have you understood this, Ram Robin? Because we are just thinking about this here. That is a new thing. In other problems, we have not maintained that ready queue because these were simple. But here, the sequence is most important. That's why we have maintained this ready queue. Right? Any doubt you can ask as I go for the last algorithm. Last one is priority schedule. So we can solve this using preemption and non-preemption also. Preemption or non-preemption. So I'll just tell you this one and I'll try for that also because that one is a simple. First, preemption. Now see that name indicates that priority. It means there is a priority based on that processor select that process, right? So here, that problem I'll just see one field that has been added into that problem, that is priority, then process number, then arrival time, and burst time. Right? Suppose 10, 20, 30, and 40. One, P2, P, P4. Arrival time is the same as instead of 1, 0, 1, 2, and 4. 5, 4, 2, and 1. Right? So this is your problem statement. Now see, here you need to understand this priority. Now how I can consider the priority? That smaller number is having higher priority or the bigger number is having higher priority. So how that I consider? So in your problem, they will mention that higher number is either having the higher priority or the smaller number is having other higher priority. So here you just note this, write this note for this problem. Higher the number, higher the priority. See, in exam they can say like this: lower the number, higher the priority, something, right? So you just put your concentration on this, which is the having higher priority, either the smaller one or the bigger one. So here we consider that higher the number, higher the priority, right? And here criteria that same. Here priority is the criteria, and mode, as I said, we are considering that is preemption, right? So we'll try the Gantt chart for this. I'll try over here. Now see, at 0 unit of time that P1 arrived. So initially not necessary to consider the priority because only one process is there in queue, right? The priority is 10, but that it is having the zero arrival time, so that P1 will consider for the execution. And see, this is similar to the previous examples, not round robin. So it executes only for 1 unit of time, right? And at 1 unit of time, this check that queue, I'll write here. At 1 unit of time, you can see here that P2 arrived, so that we're sending back the P1 again. Now you see here, so P2 is having 20 and P1 is having 10 priority. So our criteria is what here? You can see here. So higher the number, higher the priority. So P2 is 20 and P1 is 10. It means which process that processor will take. So that higher one, so that is 20 and that P2. So that processor will take P2 for execution. It executes for 1 unit of time. And again it check is there any process arrived into the queue at 2. So see this P3 is there. So P1 already there, then P3, and it sent back that P2, right here. Now it checks the priority of P2, P3, and P1. So P1 priority is 10, P2 is 20, and P3 is 30. So that P3 is having the higher priority, so it take for the execution. One thing I just missed again here, that burst time remaining this one, sorry, yes, 5, and remaining time is 4. P2, P2 is where this remaining time is 3, and just extend this. Now we have taken P3, so here again that P3 remaining time is 1, right? Now at 3 again it checks is there the new process arrived. So here you can see that P4 is arriving at 4. It is not 3. So only in queue P1 and P2, right? So this will send at P3. So it will check from these three, P1, P2, P3. So as we know again that P3 is having higher priority, that is 30. So this continue that execution with that P3, 4, right? Now at 4, again this check that ready queue at 4, this process is coming into the ready queue. So P1, P2, P4, and we can say P3, sorry, not P3, because this is P4. See, after execution of this P3, so this becomes 0. So this process completes. P3 gets completed its execution. Now in queue only 3 processes are there, P1, P2, and P4. So which one is having higher priority here? P1, P2, P4. So P4 is having higher priority, so it takes that P4 for the execution. It executes for 1 unit of time, and the remaining time for the P4 is 0. You can see. So it means this P4 again gets completed. Now in ready queue, I'll write here. In ready queue, only P1 and P2. So from P1 and P2, which one is having higher priority? So P2 is having higher priority. So it takes for the execution, this becomes 6. And here, this burst time becomes, sorry, burst time becomes 2. Right? again, these two processes are there. So P1, P2. So again, it takes that P2, or we can say that continue that execution 7. So here this becomes 1. Again, it compare P1, P2. So P2 is having higher priority. So P2. So this is 8. And after this becomes 0. Getting this? Now, in queue, only single process is there, that is P1, right? So as this is single process, so it takes that single process and it completes its execution P1, and that execution till how much time? That burst time is 4. So it completes that execution for 4 unit of time. This is 12, right? So this is the priority scheduling using the preemption. We'll calculate that completion time and others value. Completion time, then turnaround time, waiting time, and response time. So when that P1 gets completed, so you can see here, P1 gets completed here, P1. So at 12, right? Then when that P2 gets completed, so P2 completed at this 8. P3 when it is completed, so P3 completed here at 4. And P4 completed at this was this was P3, and P4 completed here, so at 5, right? Now, a turnaround time, that formula is completion time minus arrival time. So this is completion time, this is arrival time. So 12 minus 0 is 12, 8 minus 1 is 7, 4 minus 2 is 2, 5 minus 4 is 1. What about the waiting time? Waiting time is turnaround time minus burst time. So 12 minus 5 is 7, 7 minus 4 is 3, then 2 minus 2 is 0, and 1 minus 1 is again 0, right? So response time, so when that process gets first time, that CPU minus the burst time. So when that first P1 gets first time CPU, so 0, right? And arrival time is 0. So this is 0. Now next is when that P2 gets CPU first, you can see, I'll take this. So P2 gets CPU here first time. So this is 1 minus burst time. Burst time is what? 4. So sorry, not burst time, that is arrival time. That formula is CPU first time minus arrival time. So P1 gets CPU here at 1, minus arrival time is here 1. 1 minus 1 is 0. Then next is P3. P3 gets CPU here first time. This is 2 minus arrival time is again 2. This is 2, 2, 2, 0. And when that P4 gets first time that CPU, so here at 4, right? So 4 minus arrival time is 4. So this is 0, right? So we can calculate again same average turnaround time, average waiting time, and average response time. You just calculate this, right? So make the addition, this response time gets 0. Okay. So this is using preemption. the priority scheduling using preemption. And we'll see that same with non-preemption. So that same algorithm, that same example I'll consider priority, then process number or ID, arrival time, and burst time. I think this is simple. You people can solve this also. So 10, 20, 30, and 40. P1, P2, P3, and P4. Arrival time is 0, 1, 2, 4, then 5, 4, 2, and 1. This is very simple actually. So we'll draw the Gantt chart. This is 0. Now at 0 time, which process is there in ready queue? So this is P1. So this will take P1 and this will execute for 5 unit of time because we are not using that preemption. So in non-preemptive, once that processor take that process for the execution, so it completely execute that process. Now at 5 unit of time, you can see here. So this P2 and P3 and P4. So all processes have been entered into ready queue like P3, sorry, P2, P3 and P4 because that this execution time of that P1 gets completed at 5 and at 5 so 1, 2 and 4. So all these three processes have been entered into the ready queue. So from these three it again check this priority. So 2, 3 and 4. So P4 is having highest priority so it takes that P4 for execution and that time is 1, this is 6. Now in ready queue P2 and P3. So P3 is having highest priority, so it takes the P3 and P3 execution time is 2. So this is 8. Now simply that one process is there only in ready queue, so that is P2 and P2 execution time is 4. So this one, right? And with this again we can calculate the completion time, burst time and all. So completion time, turnaround time, waiting time and response time. So when that force the P1 gets completed here, you can see here P1 gets completed. So this is 5. Then when P2 gets completed here, P2, so this is 12. P3 completed here at 8, so this is 8. And P4 completed here, so this is 6. Okay. Now what is the turnaround time? Turnaround time is completion time minus the arrival time. So completion time is this and arrival time is this. So 5 minus 0 is 0. 12 minus 1 is 11. Then 8 minus 2 is 6. 4 minus 6 minus 4 is 2. Now waiting time, turnaround time minus burst time. So turnaround time is this and burst time is this. So 5 minus 5 is 0. 11 minus 4 is 7. 6 minus 2 that is 4 and 2 minus 1 that is 1. And as we know, in non-preemption, so whatever is that waiting time, that same is the response time. So I have understood. So this was the very simple example using non-preemption. Okay, so these were the algorithms for the scheduling. If you have any kind of doubt, you can ask me. Anything, you can ask me.